Hey everybody, welcome to Office Hours with Kris Johnson, and we are here today with a very special guest, Mr. Omar Lateef. Man, what I'd love to do is start out talking specifically about what the Harmonic Series is, assuming that our audience doesn't know much about it, because I feel like it's something that's talked about that people don't go really that far in depth with.
In order to have a 4-octave range, you will need to have 16 partials mastered in order to be able to navigate through the instrument. The fundamental pitch on our E-flat trumpet would be the octave below the low C that everyone is taught in the normal high school or middle school method books.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start out on this pedal C, and I'm going to move from the pedal C up to the octave above. So just so we can define this, and I want to show everybody the difference between embouchure and aperture. This is our embouchure, and the aperture is going to be this opening between our lips here. So we have our embouchure, and then we have the opening, which is our aperture.
Jaw placement helps with respect to ensuring that you have more control over your aperture.
Okay.
Because a lot of times when we're playing those higher pitches, I notice that people's jaw placements are in the wrong place, which can interfere with your air, can interfere with your focus, and it can interfere with your balance.
Right.
Ultimately, being able to navigate those three things will help to do that. But the jaw placement helps with respect, especially with the aperture, so that you can find those three things that you're going to hear me talking about a lot, which is the air and the focus and the balance of each and every note that we perform on the instrument.
Right. Can you kind of just show us a little bit, like, what does that jaw placement look like? What is an ideal jaw
So,
placement?
for example, when you're playing a lower pitch, that helps you to understand that that aperture is a little bit wider.
Okay. And how would you describe the jaw placement when you were
The
playing?
jaw placement, I would say, may be a bit lower. As you go to the next partial, it's also important that when you're buzzing, that you're buzzing corner to corner. Because oftentimes, when we get to those higher partials, people tend to lose that focus with respect to their buzz. Every partial from the fundamental, including the fundamental, has to buzz corner to corner.
All right, in this next exercise, I'm going to move from the partial one down to the false pedal and then slur all the way down to our fundamental.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy. That's so good. That's so good.
What observations in terms of jaw placement, embouchure, or even the perception of my aperture did you make as I was moving from the false pedal down to the fundamental?
Well, I noticed the consistency of, in particular, when you were bending into each fundamental. That was the same. And that's important that we have the same feel for all 7 fingerings.
Right.
Another thing that we are able to notice too is that we hear that you're locked corner to corner.
Great.
There are very few air leaks. There are very few, there's very little movement, I should say, with your embouchure. And I can tell that was a result of making sure that it was consistent so that you had the correct aperture the whole time.
And how does this relate to playing in the upper register? What is kind of that tie between, these exercises getting down to the fundamental and we start moving into, high C and above?
When you play the first partial and you bend to that fundamental pitch, it is the same exact discipline that you need when you're going from the next partial to that pitch that is proceeding from above.
Okay.
And the more that we work through each tier, we'll be able to continue using that same practice for each partial, because you want to have the same feel no matter how wide or how narrow your aperture is throughout the entire instrumental range.
That makes sense. Let me guess. All right, so now that I've been able to bend fully between that partial and the fundamental, that opens us up for the exercise that I affectionately know as the D ideas.
Yes.
The D ideas are going to just really, in this first instance, move us through that octave, going through all the valve combinations.
The purpose of that is to help the trumpet player drill each set of interval from that specific tier.
Right.
And we do that because once we have a fully balanced airstream, a fully balanced focus to that airstream, a fully balanced jaw placement and aperture, once we have that straight through the entire exercise, it'll help you to be able to get a feel of how to approach that note from the partial that's proceeding. From the second partial to the first partial, you only get a major third before it breaks. Just want you to hear how much more resonance you can get just by being able to get down right to the edge of that break.
Before you put the next example, will you talk a little bit about the importance of being able to push yourself to get to the next partial, but not developing any bad habits or sacrificing anything to get that next note?
Yes. It's important to remember, going back to that first partial to the fundamental, that that is the concept. Learning how to be able to bend the pitch before the partial breaks to have the right muscles and the right flexibility to build your endurance. Okay. And it's important to buzz corner to corner. It's important to learn how to discipline the aperture and the jaw placement and the embouchure placement. Because as you're saying, now we're in the upper echelon. And when we're up here, all of those fundamentals that we worked down low now are quintessential up top.
Omar Lateef.
understanding how the partials fit helps to be able to get some of the famous excerpts done in the way that works best for you. So we have that, and everyone plays that. Now, I think that that's a lot of work to play that. Me personally, I would change some of the fingerings because it's easier to get through it once you understand the path of the harmonic series.
Okay, right.
So you see how the sound opens up.
Mm.
Okay, now I'm sure that people would use a different fingering combination to be able to execute that, but it just opens up more possibilities.